If you look up addiction, one of the leading causes you'll see listed is Borderlands 2. Now this is a fantastic game. It's kinda got everything. Stupid amounts of replayability, fun as hell gameplay, dozens of hours of content, and about 1,000 times more guns than your average American stereotype. Despite Borderlands 2 being one of my favorite games ever, I've only played the other games of the series like once each, which is weird because in my first playthrough of the other games, I beat them both pretty quickly and loved both of them. I even bought the second game immediately after the first. I had such a blast with it. Borderlands 3 is currently my most anticipated game, and I kinda replayed Borderlands 2 again, getting caught up in the hype, and it's still just as good as ever. How is this game so good? And being caught up in the hype of the third game, I figured I should replay the original as well. The last time I even attempted to replay it was like 5 years ago, so I did not remember much about it. I've tried replaying it here and there, but I just kept losing my interest in it, and I can never put my finger on why. There has to be something about this game that made me not want to see it through to the end a second time. Replaying the game might give me a better idea.
Pandora. This is our home, but make no mistake, this is not a planet of peace and love. They say it's a wasteland, that it's dangerous, that only a fool would search for something of value here.
Hey guys, guess what we're doing this weekend? On Pandora, there was legends of a vault filled with a bunch of treasure and stuff. You know, wealth, women, power, the usual. So, you play as one of the 4 idiots looking for this thing. Mordecai the hunter, Lilith the siren, Roland the soldier, or Brick the himself. You pick a character, you get off the bus, you start to hear voices in your head, the usual fare for a game like this. My personal headcanon is that Angel is talking to every player character at once, but everyone's too weirded out to say anything about it, and everyone just pretends like they're the main character. I don't know, thinking about that was just always funny to me. You meet Claptrap, the best character in this game, shoot some bandits out of Firestone, help out the locals, and that's pretty much it. You later find out that you need to collect pieces to the key to the vault, but it's really easy to forget what you're supposed to be doing, because you see, most of this game's story isn't told through dialogue or anything. No. That would make too much sense. I hope you're reading the mission logs, because that's most of what this game's story is, and it's so stupid. I know this isn't the kind of game that focuses on story, but Borderlands tries to have one, and then proceeds to tell it half-assedly. Like, the closest thing this game has to an antagonist is this... hold on. This Commander Steel lady. Yeah, I had to look up her name because she's only in the game like 3 or 4 times. She's like, you better stop looking for these vault keys or you'll suffer the consequences. And then proceeds to do nothing to stop you other than send some of her henchmen after you, like once. She's just some random CEO lady that wants the treasure inside the vault. That's it. It's not just her either. The characters in this game are pretty hit or miss. Even the more interesting ones like Scooter and Zed are only memorable because of their appearances in later games. Like, it's really hard to care about these characters when most of what they have is mission log text. Now, to be fair, there is some voice acted dialogue occasionally, but it's not frequent enough to keep the characters interesting. The tone of this game is really inconsistent too. The first Borderlands has a hard time deciding if it wants to be tough and gritty, or over the top and zany. Like, there's one mission where you have to find tapes describing how brutal Pandora is, and that it drove Tannis to the brink of insanity. And then during the process of doing this mission, Scooter says this.
Oh hell, did you just leap over piss wash Gully and one of my runners? Man, dude, tell me when you're gonna do that crap. That was awesome!
Speaking of that mission, if Pandora's day-night cycle is like 90 Earth hours, how long is this game chronologically? The in-game cycle is like 1,000 seconds, so every 16 or so minutes, like 3.5 Earth days pass. Actually, after doing the math, it's like 6 months. It's not that weird, but I needed to know, alright? The inconsistent tone ties in the graphics too. Now, don't get me wrong, this game looks cool. All the proportions are realistic, but the textures are hand-drawn by comic artists to give the game this really cartoony comic book look, which is awesome. But that doesn't explain how brown this game is. Like, holy hell, this game's got a major case of next-gen-itis. You know, around this time, it wasn't next-gen if the game wasn't overly brown and gray and devoid of color. I'm really glad the industry moved away from this because it never looked good. Granted, I was 11 when Borderlands first came out, and was still at the age where I liked colorful things, but I never grew out of that. I like things to have color, damn it. It looks more visually appealing. thing. Although the end product is still way better than the beta art style. It went for a more realistic art style for most of its development, which looked way too generic and gritty. This was changed incredibly late in development, which is probably why it looks so inconsistent with the color choices. It's actually pretty surreal looking at this stuff just because of how different the final game looks. Like, it's such a 180 that the beta graphics almost look like a joke. Borderlands, but with realistic graphics. Seriously, this is almost cursed image territory. It's crazy that we could have gotten something that looks so generic and uninteresting. The art style that we did get is a lot better and much more memorable, so whatever. The sequels heavily improved the color choice, but for now, the graphics actually hold up really well, especially with the remastered version. Alright, so, imagine an FPS, but it's also a loot fest RPG. Yeah, that's Borderlands. All the guns and gear you find are procedurally generated. They're all the typical types though. Sniper rifles, pistols, shotguns, assault rifles, SMGs, you know, that stuff. From the amount of damage they do in fire rates to scopes or even elemental damage, it's all down to RNG. The game is pretty generous with giving you good loot, luckily. I was pretty surprised with how long you can realistically keep weapons in this game. And 2, I would usually need to swap equipment every 3 or 4 levels, but by the end, I was finding gear that was like 8 to 10 levels below me, and they were still insanely good. Although when you find a really good weapon, the difficulty just kinda melts for an insanely long time. In the remaster, they even give you a shotgun that falls in this category. Like, damn, the TK Baja Blaster just wrecks the early game. There's not just guns you can find either. Grenade mods have different effects, you've got different shields that are essentially rechargeable health, class mods to give you different character perks, and relics that give you action skill elemental effects. Each character has 3 different skill trees and can change up your playstyle too. So yeah, these games are stupidly replayable. Just from sheer luck, you can play this game multiple times and get different loot and have a different experience from what you get. Oh, and I didn't really know where else to put this, but instead of just dying immediately when you run out of health, you go into a fight for your life mode, where if you kill something before the timer runs out, you'll get revived with some of your health and shields back. It's really neat, and it ends up saving you a lot. This was a great addition to single player where you don't have teammates to revive you. Although if the enemies could stop running away from me during this, that would be great. I should talk about the different character classes that I keep mentioning. You'll pick from 1 of 4 characters to play as. Okay, real quick, I need to mention this. I don't know why, but I just really like the character select screen in this game. It just feels more organic as opposed to just clicking through a menu. One guy has a falcon that he can chuck at people's faces, and has skills that are good for sniper rifles and pistols. Lilith can phase walk that makes her invisible and move forward quicker and lets off an explosion when it ends. She's good with SMGs and elemental weapons. Roland has a turret that shoots enemies and provides cover. He's good with assault rifles and shotguns. And Brick, he just puts down his guns and starts punching dudes instead. It's weirdly effective. Oh, and he's good at using explosive weapons too. This dude would love Michael Bay movies. I'm not going into details though, I've only used Roland and Lilith extensively. For this playthrough, I decided to go with Lilith. Setting dudes on fire just by killing enemies sounded fun, and I never played as her before. Or apparently I did, but I completely forgot about it. Oh well. Although Lilith is kinda boring. Her action skill is only useful after you start putting in skill points that you get from leveling up. At least then, you do chip damage while you're walking around and doing nothing. Like really, what's the point of just walking around invisible? Enemies don't even react to you turning invisible either. They just stand still and act like nothing happened. I mean really, I probably could have killed these guys by now. It's one thing when you're in a pinch, but in most cases I didn't really use it other than walking long distances without a vehicle. And she has this ability in her elemental tree that can set enemies on fire when you get kills. But it's surprising how many times this killed me. Yeah, I can set explosive barrels on fire too, and you take damage from it. What the hell? The only reason why I didn't respec is because it's actually insanely powerful when there aren't any explosives around. Seriously, this thing does tons of damage. It's great when it doesn't, you know, kill you. Speaking of which, you can respec your skill points at any fast travel station, and it's pretty cheap to do so, which encourages experimentation. Most skills don't seem overly impressive though, mainly just stat buffs. In 2, most of your skills end up significantly improving your action skill and make them super fun and different by the end of the game. But most of the characters in this game feel kinda samey from when I played. I didn't really want to start a new character like I would have in the other games. That's a big issue with this game. Borderlands 1 feels really samey. You went around doing similar missions, doing similar things, going through similar looking areas, fighting similar enemies. It just ends up being really repetitive, really quickly. The enemy variety really does not help either. Most of the enemies in this game are like the same 4 to 5 bandit types. Why? You got regular dudes, crazy dudes, short dudes, powerful dudes, and that's about it. There are occasionally some aliens to kill like skags and racks, but they're not frequent enough to be interesting. Most main missions don't even feel important either. It's just like,
hey man, can you do this thing for me? Why?
Okay, fine.
Thanks, man.
Like, why am I killing this dude? Why do I need to kill these bandit runners? Why am I talking to this dude and that's the mission? Sure, they explain stuff with mission logs and I read them, but it's pretty hard to care about anything I'm doing when it feels like so little effort went into explaining it. Most missions feel like busy work. That goes for side quests too. You're just doing random chores for NPCs a lot of the time. Go kill these things, go collect this, go do this thing for me. I don't inherently have an issue with that. I mean, they're side quests. They're not required, so if you think they're boring, you can skip them. But this game had a surprising amount of difficulty spikes. Early game, you want to do every side quest you come across just to be at a sufficient level, and that's stupid. You do level up really quickly, but just being more or less forced to do so many side quests never sits well with me. It's the main reason why I never got around to finishing Torn in the Golden Country. It's a fantastic DLC for Xenoblade 2 otherwise, but it's like, hey, how about we force you to do like half the total side quests in this game in order to finish it? Granted, Borderlands isn't that bad about it. By about 3/4 of the way through the game, I barely had to do any side quests, but the boring early game of running around doing random crap for people doesn't make me want to start up a new game anytime soon. How long it takes to unlock fast travel doesn't help either. Yeah, you don't unlock it until like a third of the way through the game, which by that time, I was already level 20, out of the 35 that I was at the final boss. So early on, backtracking is a pain. There isn't usually a way to quickly leave the area when you beat a boss either, so you have to run all the way back, and it's just so dumb. The bosses aren't great either. They either go down super quick or just total damage sponges. There's no in between. The one you have to fight in a car was kinda cool, although it's easier to just shoot him from outside the stadium. I played this game pretty on and off, so that did help with the repetitiveness, but I unintentionally stopped playing it for a month and fell into the same trap that I've been in with this game. Whoops. And hey, the game is full 4-player co-op, so playing with friends might help too, although that doesn't excuse the repetitiveness of everything. Once you get near the end of the game, things do start getting more interesting. When you're not having to backtrack as much, you're doing a bunch of boring side quests, and you're running around gathering vault keys, it's honestly a pretty good game, albeit a bit easy by this point once you find really good weapons. The only point I had a ton of trouble with was Crom's Canyon, where they just bombard you with like 3 or 4 badass bruisers all in a row. Like, holy shit, why are they throwing so many powerful enemies at you like this? It took me like an hour and a half to get through this area just because of how often I was dying. And yeah, enemies respawn if you die enough times, at least from what I can tell. I think I was a little underleveled for this, but none of the other enemies in this area gave me so much trouble. Even the bosses at the end went down quicker than a Beedoof getting hit with a super effective judgment. But hey, when you're not just running around doing random crap, the game is much better. There's more enemy variety, the areas don't blend together as much, and people are actually talking to me. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Although the game ends pretty much as soon as it starts to get better, and the game's surprisingly short too. I beat it in 12 hours. Granted, that's not exactly a short game, but considering the other games are like 30 to 40 hours, that's a big difference. You can extend your playtime by playing the DLCs, but I didn't really feel the need to. Even if the DLCs are decent, that doesn't improve the pretty repetitive main campaign. Although if you want to play it, the new remaster that came out a few months back is the way to go. I played the enhanced version on PC and didn't run into any issues. I've heard some people having problems with the multiplayer, but I've only played solo, so I can't really say how well it works. The only annoyance I've had is the custom waypoint randomly popping up on the map for no reason. Like, it's not a big deal, but it bothered me so goddamn much.
I can't believe they let this slide. That stupid waypoint drives me insane.
But otherwise, the enhanced version shows waypoints in the game world and has a mini-map like in Borderlands 2, along with more customization options and a few more legendary weapons. If you buy the original game on Steam at any point, you get the enhanced version for free, which is really nice. You don't even need any DLC either, you just get it for free. It's $30 on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and it seems to go down to $20 pretty frequently already, so it's not too expensive. Although I really like the physical edition on console. It comes with this map of Pandora, which was a nice surprise. It seems to be exclusive to North American GameStops, which is stupid, but it's available digitally worldwide. All in all, Borderlands 1 was a really mixed bag. I think my main issue with this game overall is just a bad case of first game syndrome. The groundwork is here, but Borderlands 2 improved everything so much that going back to the original was really difficult. They improved the art direction, tone, and general gameplay so much that the first game feels like a totally different beast entirely. Borderlands is still a pretty good game, but it has so many little flaws that add up that it makes me want to go and play the newer games instead. Maybe I liked it so much the first time around because of its unique premise and art style, and didn't really mind all the flaws. Really, if you want to want to try out the first Borderlands, play it before the second game, because you won't want to go back after that. But, I don't know, I feel like I'm being a little harsh on this game. I can see why someone would prefer it over the second game. It's a lot less in your face than later games, and it can actually be kind of chill to just run around and do missions. But after playing Borderlands 2 like 8 times, it's that charm that I really miss. The first game feels kind of lifeless by comparison. Even the characters that come back in later games have less, well, character in this game than they do later. Borderlands didn't know what it wanted to be yet with the first game, and hey, without this kind of identity crisis that Borderlands 1 has, we probably wouldn't have a series that's so stylized and knows what it wants to be. Shit, is it bad that I want to replay the second game again? This has been Flame Guy, and that stupid waypoint is still bothering me. Take care, and I'll see you all next mission.